Bienvenidos amigos, welcome to the Verbs Essentials Workshop. This workshop is great for beginners, but also intermediates. We're teaching you the fundamentals of how Spanish verbs work. The most important part of a sentence in conversation are the verbs. So we're going to break it down slowly and show you how they work, the grammar, the conjugation, why they're so important, all of that. And stay tuned at the end for more information about how we can help you take it to the next level. Ask us about our free resources. See you in the workshop. Vamos! Here we go. We're at the Spanish Verbs Workshop. And so I'm talking to Nikki. I'm sure people will wander in, but anyone who watches this replay, today our focus is on learning what verbs are, why they're the key to conversational Spanish, how to use them, how to learn them, which ones do we need, how to conjugate them, and we'll get into one of the tenses, the present tense. We'll look at the present tense. So today will be full of valuable information. So Nikki, are you a total beginner?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We got someone else jumping in. Let me let her in. Okay. And awesome. And so you're in Mexico City with your boyfriend and you guys are learning Spanish and you said you were
Well, no, he's not. He's Mexican, so he's great.
okay. So that's actually very common. I have dated girls who didn't speak English and I spoke more Spanish. And so we spent most of our time in speaking Spanish because I knew it. And in a relationship, that's very, very common. You default to whoever is the more bilingual person will default to the less bilingual person, right? Because you're home, you're tired, you're busy. I don't want to teach my girlfriend, boyfriend. I just want to relax with them. Right? So he doesn't want to sit there and he just wants to relax with you. So if he can speak English, he's going to speak English, right? Whoever is the stronger will help the other person. That's always how it goes. So we think, oh, I'll get in a relationship, I'll learn their language. Usually they get better at your language rather than vice versa. Yeah. So welcome, Teresa. Are you there? Check, testing audio. Can you hear us? You are now muted. Okay. So, there we go. I hear you.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So, in this workshop, as I was going over with Nikki, and as we go, people might trickle in. It's a Friday. As I do more and more of these free workshops, we'll get a good schedule going. But what we're doing today is we're going to do a real fundamentals workshop on verbs. This is going to be great for beginners. It's going to be good review for intermediates. So, Teresa, what level are you at?
Not quite intermediate, but not beginner.
Okay. All right, so you'll probably review some stuff today and probably learn a couple of useful tips today. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, first we're going to do a little quiz. All right, take 1 minute and you can just count them in your head. You can write them down or you can put them in the chat. In fact, let's just say hello in the chat so I know you guys know how to use the chat. All right, so just say hello. All right, in the chat. All right, Nikki says hello. Hola. All right. And Teresa, do you know how to use the chat?
Yeah, I do. I'm just getting there.
Oh, okay, nice. All right, sweet. So we know how to use the chat. So as we do little quizzes and stuff, you can use the chat to put in your answers. It's a small group, so it's not such a big deal. But take a minute and write down, or in your head, go through as many of these as you can. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them. Tell me how many of those that you know. All right? Tell me how many of those that you know.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
All 11 for 11, Teresa?
Yep.
Nice.
2.
2, okay. Cool. All right, so let's go, Teresa, to eat,
Comer.
sleep,
Dormir.
walk,
Caminar.
talk,
Hablar.
to do,
Hacer.
to say,
To say. Dir. Decir. Sorry.
decir, very good,
Yeah.
to want,
Quiera. Oh, quiero. No. Quiera.
you're in the right ballpark.
I can't think of it right now.
Good, okay, we at least taught you one new thing today, querer.
Querer. Okay, yeah.
Next, need, to need,
Necesitar.
and to have, put you on the spot.
Oh, tener.
Good, to cook,
Cocinar.
and to be.
Estar or ser.
Very good. All right. So here are the answers. Okay, these are verbs, samples of verbs. All right. We'll go over all this, but to be conversational, you're going to need about 200 of these. 200 to 400. All right? Because that's what's being spoken out there in the real world. Now, this will be a little harder, Teresa, so we'll take it 1 minute and write down or think it to yourself, how many of these could you say?
Hablas. How many can I say?
Okay, or how many do you know? All right, take 1 minute.
Hablé.
And when you get your final answer, put in the chat how many of them you know. Do you know 1? Do you know 0? Do you know 2? Do you know 3? How many of these do you know? Including the first one, to talk. Okay, including the first one, to talk. All right, Teresa says 3. Awesome. Nikki, do you know any of these? Okay, cool. All right, so this, and I'll unmute you because I was just muting for the moment. All right, so this will be perfect because Teresa is a beginner moving towards intermediate, so she's a perfect example of why I do what I do and what 99% of Spanish learners do what they do, and the biggest mistakes they make. I will bet that Teresa probably has followed the same path that 99% of people do and is probably stuck with the same problems that 99% of people have. So Teresa, how long have you been studying Spanish?
I don't know. Off and on for a couple years.
Perfect. Off and on for a couple years, and you know 3. Which do you know?
Well, hablar.
Hablar, to talk.
Yo hablo.
Yo hablo.
Yo hablé.
Yo hablé. And that's it, right?
Well, yo hablé todos los días.
Not
días.
quite. Not quite. It's a good guess, but not not actually the answer. Okay. It would be yo hablaba.
Oh, right. That's, yes. The predator, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Those two.
So this is literally just a classic case. And Nikki, you're so lucky you're here, to be honest with you, because by coming here today, years and years might be saved off of your Spanish journey. Okay. In one hour, you're gonna know what Teresa didn't know 2 years ago or 3 or whenever she started. Right? You're gonna understand why it's so hard to get from beginner to intermediate and then from intermediate to conversational. What is it? Do I just need to study Spanish for the next 10 years? What is it? The answer is no. Okay? No, but you do need to study the right things. You do need to have a plan depending on your goals. And I teach conversational Spanish. I teach how to be able to immerse and get to know people and have real world conversation. 99% of programs out there are designed for survival. Okay? So, these are the answers right here. We'll go over them later. I talk, yo hablo. Yo hablé, I talked. Yo hablaba, I talked every day. Yo hablaré, I will talk. Yo hablaría, I would talk. Yo he hablado, I have talked. Yo estoy hablando, I am talking. Yo he estado hablando, I have been talking. Okay, let's go over why verbs are so important, and then we will teach you how to do them. All right? I went to the beach with my friends. Yo fui a la playa con mis amigos. Whoops. All right. Yo fui a la playa con mis amigos. Muy bien. All right. So, I could take any sentence in the Spanish language and break it down into 3 parts. And that's all conversation is. It's making sentences. Lots and lots of sentences. There are 3 parts to a sentence. One is the verb. One are the glue words. And the other is vocabulary. All right, which I call nouns and adjectives. And if anyone has seen this and have heard me say this before, bear with me. We will get into new stuff in this video. I say this all the time, but it's important to repeat to make it clear why verbs are so important. So, in this situation, I went is your verb, the action, okay? Verbs are action words, okay? Then you have the glue words, those little connecting words, like prepositions, pronouns, conjunctions, all right? I went to the, all right? Glue words. Beach, there's some vocabulary. With my, more glue words. Friends, more vocabulary. Okay, I could say to the beautiful beach, but nouns and adjectives, those are both vocabulary. All right, so let's say, you guys, that I want to go on a trip to Cancun for 1 week, and all I really want is survival Spanish. I want to be able to order at restaurants, get around in taxis. I don't have that much time to study. I just need the basics to survive. What are you going to focus on most? The verbs, the glue words, or the vocabulary?
Vocabulary.
Yeah, Nikki, agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in a restaurant and you can only say one thing, the food is probably the thing you would want to say, like queso, leche, cerveza, agua, right? Taco, quesadilla, whatever, carne, verduras, whatever. That's probably the thing, okay? Meat, vegetables, water, beer, whatever, okay? So if you're in a taxi, the beach, hotel, restaurant, etc., nouns and adjectives are king in survival Spanish. And that's what Duolingo, that's what all the apps are masters of. Getting you to learn lots and lots and lots of vocabulary. A couple of verbs, a couple of little phrases here and there, but mainly lots and lots of nouns and adjectives. All right? Pictures of things, animals, body parts, whatever. Okay? So that's what survival Spanish is all about. Teresa, you probably have studied lots of vocabulary in your day, I would assume.
Yeah,
Okay, on different topics, right?
correct.
Doctor's office, the beach vocabulary, the restaurant vocabulary, etc. Right?
Right.
And then you studied those things in the present tense. Okay? That's basically what you did, and a little bit in the past tense.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I want to go out in the street and understand what people are saying, what do you think is going to be the most important? The verbs, the glue words, or the vocabulary?
Well, verbs probably.
Okay. Nikki, agree?
Yep.
All right. That is correct. And the reason why is because how many times today, Teresa, did you say beach?
None.
Okay. Nikki, how many times did you say beach today?
Oh,
Okay. How many times did you say go today? Hey, are you going to the market? Have you gone to the market? When are you going? Oh, I'm going. Have you gone? I will go tomorrow. Go. Right? Go, 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 go,
Right.
go. Probably a lot of times.
Right.
Right? How many times did you say to or the today? Lots. Okay,
Right.
so in this sentence, I went to the beach with my friends. The vocabulary is only the beach and friends. Okay, 2 of the words are vocabulary out of 8 words. So that means 25% of Spanish is vocabulary. 75% of Spanish is not vocabulary. Okay, meaning it's the verbs and the glue words. That's 75% of what you're hearing in the street. And what do you think's more important to like understand what they're saying? Would it be like to the, or would it be go, going, when? Like go
When.
is a bigger clue, right?
Right.
To doesn't give us a big clue, right? But going gives us a big clue. All right? And think of a world where you studied all nouns and adjectives, and you studied a million of them. And I know every noun and adjective in the whole Spanish dictionary. You're still only going to be able to speak like a caveman. Food, delicious. Hair, blonde. Building, tall. Restaurant, good. You know, that is caveman Spanish. Without the verbs, you can't speak real Spanish, and you definitely can't understand Spanish. Okay? So here is why verbs are so great to focus on, is because you only need about 200 of them in order to be conversational, whereas you need about 2,000 or more vocabulary to be conversational. So what would you rather focus on? Would you rather spend 20% of the time to learn 80% of what you need, or would you rather spend 80% of the time learning 20% of what you need? Right? If you spend all day learning 2,000 vocabulary, you're still only going to have 20% of Spanish.
Right. Right.
Right? So now when are you going to start doing the verbs and the glue words? Right? So after 2 years, Teresa has some number of verbs. Who knows how many you have, but probably a few dozen. Okay? Maybe
Right.
maybe 100 if you're pretty good. All right? But you only have 2 tenses. Okay? So in addition to those, you need verb tenses. And you need 8 of them. Minimum. There's 34 in Spanish, but you need at least
Right.
8. If you don't, you will not understand what they're saying, because people don't speak like cavemen. People speak in different verb tenses. All right? They speak with lots of verbs and lots of tenses. That is conversation. So think of yourself at a dinner table. Hey, what'd you do yesterday? I went to the beach. Oh, have you gone to this beach? No, but I'll go there tomorrow. Okay, what are you doing right now? Oh, I'm cooking dinner. Okay. What time are we eating? Oh, we'll probably eat pretty soon. Okay. Nothing that I said there was the present tense. So 2 years learning the present tense is 20% of the tenses. You need 80% of the tenses you don't even know yet after 2 years, 3 years of studying. So how are you going to understand people, right? Because in Spanish, they are speaking in a lot more tenses than the present tense. So there's two big problems that Spanish schools have. One is they don't teach you enough verbs, and two is they don't teach you enough tenses early on. They teach you way too much vocabulary early on, right? And why they do that is because that's where the money is. That's where instant gratification is. Ooh, I can go to a restaurant and point at things and I know what pollo means, right? It's instant gratification. That's vocabulary. And it gives people a lot of confidence, and then they just keep going on that path, and there's just a plateau because, like you see, the nouns and adjectives will only get you so far, and it just won't get you any farther no matter how many you learn, right? And so people drop off. But by that time, most people drop off anyway or are very sporadic. So very few schools and apps are incentivized to teach the grammar and the verbs because most people aren't going to be consistent enough to stay with it and get through it. But that's my job. I'm here to let you know what you're missing. I'm here to let you know what you need, and then I find students who want to go that distance, and I will get you there faster because I will get you those things to the 80% of Spanish much faster, and then it'll be very easy to fill in the pieces of the puzzle. And vocabulary is very personal. You might be interested in foods, but someone else is interested in the doctor's stuff, and someone else wants the baseball vocabulary, and somebody else wants, I'm going to the baseball game, I'm going to the hair salon, I'm going to the restaurant, I'm going to the doctor's office. So depending who you are, your vocabulary will be totally different than the other student in the class, what you're interested in. But the verbs will not, and the glue words will not in general. Those will be universal no matter who you are and what your interests are. So let's get those verbs, let's get those glue words under our belt, and then personalize it with lots and lots of topics. Okay? So does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
So this is, what'd you do yesterday? What are you doing now? What will you do tomorrow? You're talking about, I ate, I walked, I talked, I did this, I did that. This is conversation. Verbs are the heart and soul of conversational Spanish.
No.
All right. And so this is a little chart here that shows you the levels, quote unquote, of Spanish, A1 to C2. This dividing line, in my opinion, is the survival Spanish to the left, A1, A2, B1. That's like survival, a lot of vocabulary, very little grammar and verb tenses. B2 to C2 is all about verb tenses and verbs and grammar. All right, that's the dividing line. We want to get you there. So we're going to get you those verbs and verb tenses as soon as we possibly can. Yeah? All right. So this is just another diagram. What do we need? We need vocabulary. We need to hear it. We need to say it in order to be conversational, to have a one-on-one conversation about any topic where you understand them, you're understood in a way that flows naturally. Okay, we need to pronounce well, we need to hear well, we need 200 verbs, we need 8 verb tenses, 200 glue words, and 50 or more topics, as many topics as you want. Okay. All right. So this is just the same kind of curriculum overview, but we're not. It's just, yeah, these are the verb tenses I showed you guys. Okay. Right here. So let's get into learning some. All right. Here we go. Get your pen out, your pencil, notepad. You're going to learn how to conjugate verbs. All right. And then we will go over what are the most important verbs and take a look at that and a couple of tricks to start using verbs very quickly. Okay, what is conjugation? Conjugation means to change a verb. So here's your verb, to eat, comer. I eat, John eats. Yo como, John come. Changing the verb, that's conjugation. Okay? And depending on who's doing it, the conjugation is different. Depending on when they're doing it or the tense, it's different. In the past, I ate, I will eat. Okay? I have eaten. So who's doing it, the subject, and when they're doing it, the verb tense, those are determining how we conjugate or change the verb. Comer, como, come. All right, these are all the same verb right here. All right. On this beautiful sheet that's designed to scare you, okay, this is one single verb in Spanish, hablar, to talk. There are almost 200 ways to conjugate hablar. So if you don't have good guidance, imagine trying to memorize all of this for 200 to 400 verbs. Okay? It's going to be overwhelming. You need to find the patterns. You need to know what's essential. What do I need and what is not necessary, okay? So Spanish is easier than English in some ways. Their pronunciation, for example, is much easier. But it's harder than English in the verbs. The verbs and the verb tenses is much harder than English. Okay? And the reason why is they just have more of it. All right? So we want to simplify verbs and verb tenses as much as we can. All right. So let's look at how we do conjugation. All right? You need a subject and a verb in a sentence. You can't have a sentence without a verb. All right? There's your subject. I eat, there's your subject verb, and then whatever else you want. I eat with my friends, I eat tomorrow, I eat this, I eat that, okay? Subject verb. Here are some common subjects. All right, if you've never seen these before, you probably will need a few days to memorize them. Usually people trip over these for, a week or so, but eventually you get them. These are the most common subjects in Spanish. All right? Yo, tú, usted, él, ella, ellos, ellas, ustedes, nosotros. Okay? I, you formal. So tú and usted both mean you. But usted is more polite. Like if you're talking to a stranger or you're talking to an elderly or person or somebody you just met, usted is a little more common. Okay, but as a Spanish learner, they don't care. They're just happy you're speaking Spanish at all. So don't worry about that. Which one you use is up to you. Okay. He, she, they. If it's a group of females, it's ellas. Okay, ellos is a mixed group or a group of guys. Ellas is a group of women. You guys, ustedes, we, nosotros. Okay? But subjects can actually be anything. Anything under the sun. So, I eat, the dog eats, the cat eats. The car drives fast, the house is big, the birds are singing, the ocean is beautiful. Anything can be a subject. It's not just human beings. Okay, but these are the common subject pronouns that are often used for people. Okay, We're going to learn our first verb, comer. We're going to conjugate comer in the present tense. All right, this is to eat in the present tense. So, the first thing you need to understand about Spanish verb conjugation that's different than English is that they always have 5 ways to conjugate a verb. No matter what tense you're in, no matter what verb it is, there's always 5. Forever and ever, you will always conjugate verbs with the same 5 verb conjugations. Yo, tú, singular, plural, nosotros. So everybody say that out loud. Yo, tú, singular,
plural,
plural, nosotros. Write them down. Every single verb for the rest of your Spanish life will conjugate in those 5 ways. In the past, there's 5 ways. In the present, there's 5 ways. In the future, there's 5 ways. These are the 5 ways. Okay? I don't care what verb tense it is, what verb it is. Yo, tú, singular, plural, nosotros. So yo means I. Tú means you. What is singular and nosotros means we? What does singular and plural mean? What do I mean by that? Give me an example of a singular subject.
Yo. No.
Okay, yo is singular, but it is not singular in this case because yo has its own conjugation, its own category. So if you are conjugating a verb and you're talking about I am doing something, it will have its own thing. So give me something singular that is not yo or tú.
Ella.
Ella, she. That's singular. Okay, something else. In English, you can do it in English.
Well, you or usted.
Okay, usted, not tú. Okay, you,
Right.
tú is its own category. Usted would be. What else in English? In English, what would be a singular thing? It could be a person, a place, a thing. It doesn't matter. This is a subject. All right, and I'll give them to you. The dog, the cat, the house, the car, the man, the woman, my friend, John, he, she, it, the desk, the chair, the wall. The wall is pink. The house is big. The bird flies high. The hat is cool. The man cooks dinner. The girl brushes her teeth. Okay? Like singular, 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 singular. Those are singular subjects. Okay? And all singular subjects will conjugate the same way. Let's sing a plural. So give me some plural subjects in English. Any guesses? Anything plural.
Dogs, cats, cars.
That's right. Dogs, cats, cars, men,
Houses.
men, women, houses. That's it.
Children. Yeah.
Plural. Okay? Nosotros means what? What does that mean again?
We.
Good. Is that plural? It
Yes.
is, but it's not going to conjugate the way other plural things. It has its own category. Okay? So, yo, tú, and nosotros have their own categories, how they conjugate, and everything else on the face of the planet Earth will either conjugate singular or plural. Okay? So when you are conjugating, that's the first question you ask is, what's the subject? All right? And then that is the clue to how it's going to conjugate. All right? What is the subject? Okay. So now let's look at how comer conjugates in the present tense. So first of all, you have to understand the difference between English and Spanish conjugation. Okay? In English, we have this word tú. In Spanish, they don't. All right? to is called the infinitive tense. It means unconjugated. It hasn't changed yet. You have to include it. It's very important to think of verbs in terms of to eat, to sleep, to walk, to jump, to dance, to go. To. That is our version of the unconjugated verb. In Spanish, it is the ending, okay? So in comer, the ending is er, okay? And they have three types of endings: ar, er, and ir, which we'll look at later, the endings. So to conjugate a verb in Spanish, you have to take away the ending and then change the ending. Okay? That's verb conjugation in Spanish. In English, we take away the to. So instead of to eat, we say I eat or he eats. The first thing you do is you get rid of the to. I ate, I will eat. All right? In Spanish, the first thing they do is get rid of the ending. So essentially, you need to learn all these different verbs and all these different conjugations. All right? There are 8 tenses you have to learn: the past, the present, the future, a bunch. But that just really means 8 endings. Okay? And then 5 different endings per each tense. So you have 5 endings for the present tense. You have 5 endings for the past tense. You have 5 endings for the future tense. 5 endings for the whatever tense. Okay? So there are always 5 conjugations for every tense. All right? You have verb, you have the tense, and you have the conjugation. Verb, tense, conjugation. All right? So let's look at the conjugations in the present tense for eating. All right, to eat, comer. Yo como, I eat. Tú comes, you eat. Singular, come. All right, or like my friend eats, mi amigo come. Plural, comen, my friends eat, mis amigos comen. We eat, nosotros comemos. All right, yo to singular, plural, nosotros. So repeat after me. Yo como.
Yo
Yo
como.
como.
Tú comes.
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 Singular, come.
Come.
Co-
Plural, comen.
Comen.
Come.
Nosotros comemos.
Comemos.
Nosotros comemos.
Como, comes, come, comen, comemos. Okay. So, right here, I eat, yo como. You eat, tú comes. You eat formal, usted come. All right? So even though tú and usted mean the same thing, usted goes in the singular box. He eats, él come. She eats, ella come. They eat, ellos comen. They eat, if it's female, ellas comen. You guys eat, ustedes comen. We eat, nosotros comemos. My friend eats, mi amigo come. My friends eat, mis amigos comen. Notice that all the singular ones are come. He, she, you. Formal. And all the plural ones are comen. Ellos, ellas, ustedes. Mis amigos. All right? Any questions? So how would you say the dog eats? The dog eats. How would you say the dog eats, Teresa?
El perro come.
El perro come. And Nikki, how would you say the dogs eat?
El perro comen.
Good. All right. Los perros comen. All right. We're all clear on subject verb, and we're all clear on the endings. Changing a verb means changing the endings in Spanish. Okay, that's verb conjugation. Okay, So, we're going to look at the present tense endings first, and we're going to learn the present tense. All right? Here it is, right here. Before I teach you this, I want to make a little note, and we'll come back to this. Every Spanish school on the planet starts with present tense, as they should, because it is more used than the other tenses, but not by much, as we showed you. All the other tenses are equally important as the present tense. Okay? But Teresa has been working on this for a couple years. Most people spend a couple years still doing the present tense. There's a reason why. The present tense is the hardest, or one of the hardest tenses to learn in Spanish. It is actually way harder than most of the other tenses. So that's good news for Teresa, who spent years learning present tense and probably had to work very hard to get a lot of it. Right? So other tenses are more easy. Okay, so just to go back, what are the other tenses? These guys right here. Okay, these guys right here. These are the other tenses. These two tenses, the preterite and the present, are the first ones taught to most people.
Right.
Those two tenses are 1,000,000 times harder than those 6 tenses. Those 6 tenses are 1,000,000 times easier than the first 2 tenses you learn. We will look at why in a minute. But the reason has to do with regulars and irregulars. All right? The present tense has way many more irregulars than the other tenses, which mean verbs that don't follow the rules. And it's really annoying because, can you guys hear the leaf blower going on outside my window? Good.
No.
Good, because there is one and it's very distracting. Okay. Awesome. So, let me see if I can. No, I can't. All right. Here we go. These are the conjugations in the present tense. First things first, I eat, to talk, to eat, to live. Hablar, comer, vivir. All right? I have chosen these 3 verbs because these are what are called 3 regular verbs, meaning they follow the rules. Okay? There are rules in Spanish, and these verbs follow them. So, what that means is that if you can learn these 3 verbs right here, 90% of all the other verbs in the Spanish language will conjugate the same way. So if you can learn these 3, you can conjugate hundreds of verbs from that. That's cool. Okay, we like rules. Rules are good. Rules are our friend. Then you have something called irregular verbs here that don't follow the rules. And we will get into those next. Okay? Regular verbs are easier. 90% of verbs are regular. 10-20% of verbs are irregular. Okay? And you have to learn them separately. All right? So we're going to learn the regular present tense first, and then we will look at some irregulars. Okay, the regular present tense. There are 3 types of endings. We've talked about the endings, okay? The AR, ER, and IR verbs. All right? So what do? You take a verb like hablar, okay? And all the verbs that end in AR are going to conjugate the exact same way as this one. So let's look at the AR verbs, okay? You take away the ending. So now it's habl, okay? And it's yo hablo. Okay, say that. Yo hablo.
Yo hablo.
Tú hablas.
Tú hablas.
Singular habla.
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 Plural hablan.
Hablan.
Nosotros hablamos.
Hablamos.
Okay? O, as, a, an, amos. Those are your 5. All the AR verbs are like that. So say that. O, as, a, an, amos.
O, as, a, an, as.
Very good. Okay? So, let's take an example. Escuchar. Teresa, do you know what that means?
Yes.
Means what?
To listen.
To
To
listen.
listen?
To listen. So how would you say I listen? Let's put it in the chat. Okay? I'm going to do this in the chat.
Okay.
Okay? Let's put it in the chat. All right? Let's put we're going to do a whole bunch of things here. All right? So we're going to do little quiz. Put it in the chat. Alright. I listen. Alright. The verb is escuchar. I listen. Alright. Good, Teresa. Alright. If you don't know, just put a question mark. Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. Yes. Yo escucho. Okay. Yo escucho. Escucho. I listen. All right? You listen. You listen. Escuchar is the verb. You listen. Good, Nikki. Teresa, check that. Check that. Escuches, is it an AR, ER, or IR verb? Escuchar. Alright. Try again. Try again. Not escuches. You listen. There you go. Escuchas. Alright. Tú escuchas. Alright. My friend listens. My friend listens. Escuchar. My friend listens. Mi amigo. You don't have to write mi amigo, just the verb. Good, Teresa. My friend listens. Mi amigo. Escucha. Okay? My friends listen. Mis amigos escuchar. Mis amigos escuchar. What is it? Mis amigos. My friends listen. Good, Nikki. My friends listen. Good. Mis amigos escuchan. Alright, and finally, we listen. We listen. Nosotros. We listen. Escuchamos. There you go. Alright? Cool. Alright? Good job. Teresa, you got it? There we go. Escuchamos. Good. Mirar means to watch. Alright? I watch. I watch. Alright? I watch. Not quite, Nikki. You forgot a step. An important step. Miraro no. I watch. Remember what we do in English. What's the first step to conjugate a verb in English? We take away the to. Okay, so in Spanish, what do they take away to conjugate a verb? There you go. Yo miro. You got to take away the ending and then put on the new ending. Yo miro. All right? Mirar. You watch. You watch. You watch television. Do you watch television? Do you watch Netflix? All right? You watch. Two. Good, Niggy. Good, Teresa. All right? You watch. Tu miras. All right? My friend watches. My friend watches. Teresa, nope. Nope. Do you see your mistake? Yes. Okay, you've done that twice, so that's a warning sign. Pay attention to the ending. You have to remember the ending. It's an AR verb with an AR ending. Okay, we'll get to the ER verbs in a minute. Okay, so my friend watches. Mi amigo mira. And how about my friends watch? My friends watch. Okay, my friends watch. So my friend was mira. Mi amigo mira. My friends watch. Good. Mis amigos miran. Good. And finally, we watch. We watch television. Nosotros miramos. Good. Nosotros miramos. Take away the ending. Miramos. Good. All right. Let's go to the ER verbs, okay? So, in the world of Spanish, there are thousands of verbs. All of them have these three endings, AR, ER, or IR. There's no other types of endings. Okay, so if it's an ER verb, it will conjugate like this. Comer, como, comes, come, comen, comemos. So you can say that out loud. You're both muted. Como, comes, come, comen, comemos. Good. Yo como, tú comes, mi amigo come, mis amigos comen, nosotros comemos. All right, so the ER endings, O, es, a, en, emos. Those are the endings. Here we go. Let's do some ER verbs. All right, beber, to drink. How would you say I drink? I drink. I drink. Nikki says, yo bebo. Good. Teresa, yo bebo. Good. You drink. Alright, so yo bebo, I drink. Good, Teresa. You drink. Good, Nikki. Two bebes. You guys are getting it. I like it. Alright, John drinks. John drinks. John drinks. John drinks a lot. Good, Nikki. Good, Teresa. John bebe. Okay. And John and Maria drink a lot. John and Maria drink a lot. John and Maria drink a lot. Good, Nikki. Good, Teresa. You guys got it. You're getting it. This is Spanish. Okay. This is Espanol. All right. And we drink. We drink a lot. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. We drink a lot. Nosotros bebemos mucho. Good. All right. IR verbs. Okay, IR verbs are very similar to the ER verbs with one difference at the end. Okay, nosotros. So the ER verbs is hemos and the IR verbs is imos. All right, but everything else same. So vivir, yo vivo. All right, vivo, vives, viven. Let me try that again. Vivir, vivo, vives, vive, viven, vivimos. All right, you guys. Vivo, vives, vive, viven, vivimos. Okay, that's it. Yo vivo, I live. Tu vives, you live. Mi amigo vive, my friend lives. Mis amigos viven, my friends live. Nosotros vivimos, we live. Good? All right, cool. Let's do some IR verbs. Abrir means to open. I open the refrigerator. I open. I open. Good, Nikki. Good, Teresa. Yo abro. Yo abro. Good. El refrigerador. Good. Yo abro. Okay, abrir. You open. You open. You open the refrigerator. Good. All right. Tú abres. All right. The dog opens. The dog opens the door. The dog opens. Abre. Good. The people, las personas, open. The people open the bank. Abren. Good, Nikki. Las personas abren. And we open the store. We open the store at 10 o'clock. We open the store at 10 o'clock. Nosotros. Good, Nikki. Good, Teresa. Nosotros abrimos. All right. Excellent. Okay. So, these are just more verbs, more examples. Okay? More verbs, more examples. So to answer, contestar. So I'm just going to do some random ones here. Okay? Here we go. All right? If you want to challenge yourself, don't look at the cheat sheet. See if you can do it from memory. All right? But you can look at the verb. Okay? So contestar. They answer. They answer. You don't need to put, if you want to put the whole thing, you can, or if you just want to put the verb, you can. All right? They answer. They answer. They answer. Ellos. Good, Nikki. Good. Ellos contestan. Good. All right. We arrive. We arrive. At what time do we arrive? What time do we arrive? Llegar. We arrive. Good, Teresa. We arrive. Good. Llegamos. We arrive. Nosotros llegamos. All right. All right. I'm going to try a tricky one here. Who asks? Who asks? Who asks the questions? Who asks? Ooh, tricky one. Tricky one. Who asks? ¿Quién? ¿Quién means who? All right. ¿Quién? Preguntar. What would you do? ¿Quién preguntar? Who asks? ¿Quién preguntar? Good, Teresa. Good, you both got it. Singular. If you don't know, go with singular. All right. Who? All right. ¿Quién pregunta? Good. I buy. I buy. I buy. Comprar. Yo comprar. Good, Teresa. Good, Nikki. All right. You guys got this. Okay? You have now got, if I gave you 1,000 verbs, 800 of them would conjugate just like this in the present tense. All right? About 80% of them would do this in the present tense. All right? Now let's go back and look at these irregulars for a minute here. What's going on with the irregulars? Here's a verb to be, like, what is to be? I'm happy. I'm American. I am John. I am excited. I am here. Okay? To be or not to be. You are here. You are John. You are American. You are excited. He is excited. He is American. He is, okay? I was there. I was doing this. I will be here. I will be doing this. To be, to be, to be. Estar. Okay? But we're doing present tense, so I am. So estar, we use this with like emotions or locations. So I am here. Yo estoy aquí. So the rule should be esto, right? That would be the right rule. Yo estoy aquí, but it's not. It's estoy. Okay? So these are the verbs that don't follow directions, and there are lots of them. I'm only giving you 3 examples here, but there are many, many, many more irregulars in the present tense. Okay? So how do we learn the irregulars? All right? How do we learn the irregulars? 1, you work hard and you memorize them. Okay? It's just you got to put a separate pile of cards somewhere else and say these are the irregulars, and I just have to learn here are the 5 conjugations of estar, and you just memorize them. You make a little flashcard, estar on the front, and then on the back, estoy, estás, está, están, estamos. Okay? Hard work. There is no super secret tip to learning irregulars. All right. However, there is one tip that works very, very well, and I'll show you why it's so vital. If I can pull up the present tense here. Let me just show you the present tense. This is why everyone hates the present tense. Okay, so you have the present tense. Okay, and you've got these irregulars here. And so yeah, these guys here in purple are all irregular. 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 Okay, and I'm not even halfway through yet. Okay? So that's a lot of irregulars. Okay? Now, how do we simplify this in the present tense? All right, on the one hand, you just got to learn it, but there is a shortcut in the present tense that I'm going to give you right now. It's not a huge shortcut, but we'll take anything, right? Because this is a lot of stuff to memorize. So, here is the shortcut for the present tense, irregulars. All right. Number 1, if you can learn these 2 columns right here, then you can do all the columns. That's the secret. If you can do the first 2 columns, you can learn all. So if I were to tell you the shortest way to learn the present tense in Spanish, all those irregulars, I would tell you to learn yo and tu. And if you do that, the other 3 columns will be automatic. You'll already know them by default. And that's nice because that saves you a lot of time. All right? By knowing that. That little trick is saving you 60% of the time. Okay? So let's look at exactly what I mean by that. All right? So here's the deal. Yo does its own thing. All right? Yo can be all over the place in the present tense. There's a lot of weird stuff with yo. Like here, oír, oigo. Calentar, caliento. Acertar, acierto. Sostener, sostengo. So it's all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason to the yos. Okay? And so those are very, very random. Okay? So you just have to learn the yo category. Then there's the tu category. It can be random, or oftentimes the yo category is irregular and everything else is actually regular. So that's very, very common. Okay? So, but sometimes the tu can be irregular as well. It just changes. So if you learn the yo, great. Then you learn the tu, great. Here's the great news. If you learn the 2, these 3 guys are all going to always be related. Okay? So the only separation between them, between the 2, the singular, and the plural, is that the 2 adds an S, and the plural adds an N, and the singular is whatever. Okay? So Oye, oyes, oyen. Calienta, calientas, calientan. Acierta, aciertas, aciertan. Sostiene, sostiene, sostienen. So you take the singular, you add an S for two, you add an N for plural, and you get all three of these guys, 3 for the price of 1. Okay? So if you can learn yo and learn two, you automatically will know singular and plural. Right? So if I know influye, then I know singular will be influye, or influyes, influye, influyen. Right? So that's cool. So we learn yo and two, and then the final one is nosotros. What about nosotros? In the present tense, okay? Nosotros, all they do is they take off the R and add mos. Okay, so all they do for nosotros, oír, oímos. Calentar, calentamos. Acertar, acertamos. Sostener, sostenemos. Okay, so nosotros is a given in the present tense. Okay? So if I learn yo and two, I will automatically know singular and plural. And by default, I already know nosotros because all I have to do is add mos. Take and replace the R with mos. Okay, so that, if you're looking for a shortcut to the present tense, that's the shortcut for the irregulars. All right? So the other secret, you could say, is what I do is learning the most valuable verbs first. So I showed you a big long list of verbs, but you're not going to use all those. You need a good list of verbs that teaches you the most useful verbs first and learn those. So what I do is I break my verbs into hundreds. 100 verbs, then 200 verbs, then 300 verbs, and so on. So why that's good is because you can then focus on the regulars and irregulars of 100 verbs and not a million verbs. You focus on just 100, and 80 of them will be regular. That's cool. And then 20 of them will be irregular, and we have to study those. And then we'll go on to the next 200. But I don't want to study like like the verb to dazzle. I'm never going to use dazzle in my life, so I don't want to study that. Right? So I want to study verbs that are pretty common. So this is all coming from my list of 100. Okay, these are the irregulars in the top 100. To bring, to close, to come. These are all the irregulars that are very, very, very common in the present tense. To go, etc., etc. On a side note, just to be totally thorough, and you can watch this video and repeat it, my little trick that I told you about the present tense, and if you just learn the yo and to, you know everything. There are 2 verbs in the present tense that doesn't apply to very well, and it's ser and it's ir. Those 2, to be and to go. Everything else that works. So those 2, like this one, soy, eres, es, son, somos, that doesn't work for those. All right, but that's the only 2. So out of a million verbs, those, every one will follow the rule I gave you, except for those 2. All right, so that is a huge introduction to the present tense. All right, so now we have all of these verbs right here. Okay, to answer, yo contesto, tú contestas, right? Regular. I arrive, yo llego, tú llegas. To ask, preguntar, yo pregunto, tú preguntas. To buy, yo compro, tú compras. All right, so on and so forth. So you just start doing this, and then eventually you'll turn this into sentences. And let me see if where I put them. Okay, and you'll start putting these into like little sentences. And you start, where did I put them? Here. Okay. So you take contestar, and then you create a little sentence. So instead of I'm going to answer, I answer the telephone. Yo contesto el teléfono. All right. You arrive at the airport. All right. Tú llegas al aeropuerto, and so on and so forth. So you just start creating sentences. You just start getting comfortable. You got 100 verbs. You learn them. All right. You learn the regulars. You learn the irregulars. This is verb conjugation. Okay. Final tip of the class is a nice little shortcut to start making sentences with hundreds and hundreds of verbs with minimal conjugation. All right, so that's going to be our final little secret tip. I'm going to teach you a way to start using hundreds of verbs immediately. So before I do that, let's take a pause for questions. Okay? Do you guys feel clear? Do you have questions about the present tense, how verbs work, how they conjugate, so on and so forth? You can unmute yourselves. It's only the two of you, so. No questions? Is this helpful? Are you guys?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
very helpful. Lots to learn.
Okay. Does it feel like lots to learn, but you're excited because I get it? I just need to practice?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Good. That's the kind of, there is lots to learn, but we don't want you discouraged. We want you encouraged, right? Like, okay, now I know what to do, right? Now I know what I need to study. I need to learn lots of verbs, and then I need to conjugate them in the different tenses. So here is my next little secret to start learning, to learn verbs as quickly as possible. Okay, I've already shown you some of my top verbs. All right, right here. Some of my top verbs are on this list. I have 800 verbs that I've done this with, broken down into most important 100, next important 100. So here is the secret. And this is another problem that every other school app tutor does that slows you down. Okay? What they do is they will teach you generally a topic like the doctor's office, the restaurant. They'll teach you a couple verbs. They'll teach you how to conjugate in the present tense. And then next week, another topic, and so on. 2 verbs, 3 verbs a week, present tense. Teresa, does that sound familiar?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not making this up. This is how it's taught in high school, in college, in immersion schools, in tutors, in apps, everywhere. This is how everyone teaches Spanish. But as you know now, that's not great, because if you do a year and you do 2 verbs a week, it'll take you a year to learn 100 verbs, right? But I need 200 verbs. So that means 2 years to learn 200 verbs, right? So I need to learn verbs faster. And that's only in the present tense, right? You're learning 2 verbs in the present tense every week, right? So we want to learn 8 tenses and 200 verbs. How are we going to do all this as quickly as possible? All right? The answer is break it down into steps, easy steps to harder and harder steps. And the first step, the easiest step that we can do is get these verbs in your head as quickly as possible with zero conjugation. Okay? Meaning it's a vocabulary list. All right? Because conjugation is hard. As you can see, there's regulars, there's irregulars, there's yo, to, singular, plural. There's all kind of stuff with conjugation and verb tenses, right? But verbs themselves, there's just the verb, right? It's just one word like any other word. Okay? To answer, contestar. To arrive, llegar. To ask, preguntar, right? It's just a word. Okay? How many words can you learn per day if you sit down with a stack of flashcards? Can you learn 5 words a day? Can you learn 10 words a day? Right? Do you feel confident that if you spent an hour or 2 studying, you could memorize like 5 flashcards? Do you feel like that's reasonable? Okay? If you can do that, then in 40 days, you can learn 200 verbs. That's a month and a half. All right? In a month and a half, you can learn all the verbs that you need, basically, or almost very close to, all the verbs that you need for conversational Spanish. So, before you start doing all of this present tense, past tense, all these tenses, before you start doing all that, the first thing you need to do is learn the verbs by themselves without conjugation or minimal conjugation. All right? So, minimal conjugation, that's where these come in. What are called the magic verbs. All right? These little suckers are going to be super, super great cheat sheets to starting to learn verbs and use verbs quickly with minimal conjugation, which is nice because conjugation is hard. Okay? What are magic verbs? Magic verbs are verbs that can be used with other verbs. They're called verb phrases. Anytime you put 2 verbs together, it's called a verb phrase. All right? So, for example, all right, I can just do a little down below here. I'll just do a little example. I need food. All right? I need to eat food. Okay? So I need food. I need to eat food. I need to buy food. I need to cook food. Okay? What is the common denominator in all of those sentences? I need. It doesn't change. I need to buy food. I need to cook food. I need to eat food. I need to make food. I need to wash the food. Whatever, right? So what's happening here is I need is our magic verb. And then behind it, we can put any other verb that we want with it without conjugating it. That's why magic verbs are so great. Because if you learn one of them, like I need, you can literally put any other verb after it. And now you're speaking and using them. Because it's not enough to just go through this list and, okay, like just memorizing contestar, llegar. That's very boring and it has no context. We need to anchor it to something. We need to make it in a real sentence. Well, the magic verbs do that. They give us a way to start using the 100 and 200 verbs in real sentences right away to give it structure and context. All right? So here are 2 examples, to need and to want. Okay? So I need to eat, I need to bake, I need to cook, I need to go to school, I need to do this, I need to do that. Yo necesito cocinar, yo necesito beber, yo necesito ir, yo necesito comer, yo necesito hacer, yo necesito pedir, whatever. The second verb is not conjugated. That's the beauty of it. The first verb, conjugated, but the second verb is not. So if you can learn the magic verbs, then you can pair them with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of verbs and make real sentences without learning how to conjugate those verbs. Does that make sense? Okay. So these, there's like 30 altogether. I give you about 20 that are super really, really important. These are 2 examples. To need and to want. Yo necesito, yo quiero. Okay. So another one, I'll just throw it in here, is to be going, to go, or to be going. All right. Is ir. All right. And voy, vas, va, van, vamos. Okay. So you have these 3 really, really useful verbs, and this last one is ir a. Okay, yo voy a. If you're gonna put a verb after it, and there's no English translation for that. It's just some verb phrases have an extra little piece that has no English purpose. This is one of those cases. So verb phrases are very handy. You just have to know that. Ir a comer. So you notice, yo necesito comer, to eat. All right. Yo quiero comer, I want to eat. Yo voy a comer, I'm going to eat. Okay, so I need, I want, I'm going. I'm going, okay? To eat, to drink, to sleep. All right? So let's take yo necesito, I need. All right? And yo quiero, I want. All right? So can you guys memorize these 3 here? We won't do the whole thing, but we'll just do the yo for yo. Okay? We'll even do yo and tu here. Yo necesito, tú necesitas. I need, you need. I want, you want. Yo quiero, tú quieres. I'm going, you're going. Yo voy a, tú vas a. Can you write those down, and then we'll play a little bit with those? Tell me when you're ready. As soon as you got them all written down, we will go play with them. We'll go practice with them. Ready? Teresa, ready?
I don't know, not really.
Have you not yet? Have you written these guys down?
What are we saying? Necesita comer.
I need to eat. Okay? Just these guys. Yo necesito, tú necesitas. I need, you need. I want, you want. Yo quiero, tú quieres. And I'm going, you're going. Yo voy a, tú vas a. These are 3 magic verb phrases that, okay, cool. All right? If you don't remember them, I'll remind you, but we're about to go play with those. Okay? And you're going to see how learning these little magic verbs is so valuable. All right? So here we are with our list of very, very valuable verbs. Okay? Over here. And here is a sentence over here. Okay? So the verb's here, the sentence is here. All right? So these guys I changed, so we'll forget about those for a minute. Okay? We'll start here with to ask. Okay? I'm going to ask a question. All right? So, yo voy a preguntar. So preguntar means to ask. All right? How would you say, I need to ask a question? I need to ask a question.
Necesito.
I need to ask a question. Perfect. Good job, Teresa. Good, Nikki. Yo necesito, a little spelling error, but you got it. Yo necesito. Okay. So, preguntar is our verb. Yo necesito preguntar una pregunta. This would actually sound funny in Spanish. It's a little redundant. You just say yo necesito preguntar, but in English it makes sense to us. Yo necesito preguntar. Okay, una pregunta. Okay? How would you say I want to order, I want to ask for the bill? Okay? The verb is pedir. I want to ask for the bill.
Ask.
I want to ask for the bill. All right? To ask for is pedir. Okay? Pedir means to ask for. All right? Preguntar is to ask. Pedir is to ask for something. So I want to ask for the bill.
La cuenta.
Yes. Okay. Good, Nikki. I want to ask for the bill. Good. Yo quiero pedir la cuenta. All right. All right. You want to buy a shirt. You want to buy a shirt. You want to buy a shirt. All right. Comprar, to buy. You want to buy a shirt.
You have to say on.
You want to buy. Good, Teresa. All right. Nikki, close. Tú quieres. Tú quieres. Okay. Tú quieres. Tú. Oops. Tú quieres comprar una camisa. Good. All right. Now for bonus points. John wants to buy a shirt. John wants to buy a shirt. Does anyone remember the trick? John wants to buy a shirt. John wants to buy a shirt. Good, Teresa. You got it. Perfect. You both got it. All right. And so we could literally play this game with the magic verbs and any other verbs in the world. Okay? Any other verbs in the world, and I have different sheets where I play different games with verbs, with the past, the present, the future. But the first thing I do is I just here's like doing chores. Okay, this is doing chores. The first thing you do is you teach the magic verbs. Then you can start teaching different verbs in different situations and how useful they are. So here's some magic verbs over here on the left. Okay, we've studied a couple of them. Over here, I would say, like, I want to do chores. Yo quiero hacer quehaceres. I want to do chores. All right. I need to clean. Yo quiero limpiar, or yo necesito limpiar. I need to turn on the light. Yo necesito prender la luz. All right, or I need to turn off the light. Yo necesito apagar la luz. Okay, and there are many more magic verbs. I need, I want to turn on the light. I can you turn on the light? I can turn on the light. I'm going to turn on the light. I would like to turn on the light. I just turned on the light. These are all magic verbs. Okay, so as you learn 20 magic verbs, now you can really play with a lot of vocabulary. You can start making sentences. You can start doing a lot. These magic verbs are super, super, super valuable. Okay, so that's the formula. All right, so just to recap, basically, you're going to learn magic verbs. You're going to learn 200 verbs. Mix and match those together, magic verbs and 200 verbs. And then you are going to learn all the conjugations. Right? You're going to learn the past tense, the present tense, the future, the conditional, the perfect, and so on and so forth. You're going to learn all the 8 tenses. But the first step, learn your magic verbs. Second step, learn 200 verbs. Put them all together. Get confident. Now we conjugate. And that's it. Okay, that's the secret to verbs. All right, you've learned the present tense today. You've learned a couple of magic verbs. And you've learned the fastest way to learn verbs, and exactly which verb tenses that you need are all right here as well. So that is it. That is thorough. All right, you have just been given a roadmap to conversational Spanish. That is the absolute numero uno, biggest key, biggest difference, the biggest difference maker between somebody who can survive at restaurants and somebody who can meet their neighbors, make friends, have a relationship, talk about their day. This is it. You are in the heart of Spanish right here. This is the difference maker. What we've gone over today is the absolute best roadmap to getting there fast. So, cool. All right. You guys have this on video. You'll be able to see the replay. Yeah, open it up for all questions about this or any Spanish topics. Nada.
Nada.
Okay, good. What was like the biggest revelation, the biggest aha moment for you, Teresa? What was something you'll take away from today that you know was valuable?
Well, the trick to remembering on the irregulars.
Big trick, huge.
Yeah.
For the present tense, that works in the present tense.
Right, for the present tense. Right.
Nikki, how about you? What's a big takeaway from today?
The verb endings, the 3 different endings and how they change, the AR, ER, and IR, really helpful.
That's it. That is it. You are going to be doing this over and over and over again. And Duolingo and all those apps, they're not going to teach you this, right? Maybe a little bit, but as Teresa is proof, even the schools, even the classes, they really don't give you this fast enough. And because they don't, you feel frustrated after a year or 2 years, and then you think, I'll never get this, and you quit. And we don't want that, right? I would rather do the hard stuff up front, but rewarding. It's like, okay, I understand Spanish, and then we can add on all the bells and whistles and vocabulary and stuff. But I can show you pictures of foods and you memorize it. That's easy. That's not hard. Right? Your boyfriend can do that very well. He can walk you through the streets and point to things and tell you what they are. Right? But what he can't do is explain verb conjugation. Right? And all that very easily. You know, that's not going to happen. But vocabulary is the easy part. The verbs is the hard part, but it's everything. So, cool. So, as you guys know, I have free workshops once a week, things on this nature. If you guys like this, if you feel motivated, if you want to get to the answer, you know, do you mind me putting a plug in, a shameless plug to my coaching? Is that okay?
Go for it.
All right. So I teach this, and in 4 to 6 months, you'll know everything there is to know about conversational Spanish. And then after that point, it'll be up to you to really repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and practice. But rather than 2 years of floundering and not knowing what you need, in 4 to 6 months, you'll know everything you need, and it'll just be a matter of repetition at that point, right? And so I do this every day. It's my passion. I've been learning Spanish for 25 years. I've been living in Latin America for 15 years. I've been teaching for 5 years. I've had girlfriends who only speak Spanish, right? A relationship. I've immersed for many, many years, no English whatsoever. This is what it took. This was what got me there. And so I put this all into this program. We teach every day, all day, lots and lots. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the biggest key, but it's not the only key, and it's not the only obstacle that prevents people from getting there. There are others as well. And that's the students that I work with are those who really want this level of Spanish. They want to immerse. They want to make friends. They want to have relationships. They want to immerse in the culture, right? This is the fastest way to get there. And survival Spanish is fine for some, but for many people, it's all about the immersion. You know, that's what changes your life. Survival Spanish is fun. It's useful, but it doesn't change your life, right? This is the type of thing where now you can really meet people. Now you can really build relationships and be in the community and get to know Mexico, get to know wherever you're living, right? So that's why I do it, because it's the most rewarding, most work, but best reward. So if you guys are interested, you can comment on the video. You can send me a message to my Facebook. You can send me your email. I can email you. So if you guys would like to talk, shoot your email. You can put it in the chat, or you can message me later, whatever you like to do. And if you're watching the replay, same with you, comment, message, and we'll talk about your goals. We'll talk about your level, what it takes, what steps you need to follow, and see if it makes sense for you. So that's it.
Okay.
That's it. All right. Good job on a Friday. You guys are taking time off on a Friday. That shows good commitment. If you're watching this video, it means you really want to learn conversational Spanish, whether it's for dating, friendships, relationships, or just to immerse in the culture. I promise you, vale la pena. It's worth it. But I have to be honest with you. My workshops alone will not get you there. These are pieces in a much bigger puzzle. This is the easy part of the journey, the academic part. You need more. You need immersion. You need daily practice with native speakers who will help correct you and guide you, but also make it feel real. You need accountability. Someone to keep track of you, keep you motivated, and make sure you're not falling behind. Those are the things that will give you confidence to go out there and talk to everyone. That's where the real learning begins. So if you want to be able to do this in the real world, let's chat. I'll show you why 99% of expats and travelers fail to ever get conversational, and why we succeed, and how we're going to succeed specifically with you, with your life, your schedule, your level, your goals. Mention the secret word, vamos, for a limited lifetime guarantee, where if you join our program, we'll make sure you get to your goals at no extra cost. If you finish the program and you haven't reached your goals, you continue working with us for free. It's a guarantee. El español te va a cambiar la vida. Nos vemos pronto. Vamos.